woke up this morning and had the feeling of importance that I share my healing story with you. And it was actually led by yesterday. I was recording a tarot card, or beginning to record tarot card readings on healing and how we actually can, as human beings here, connect to our higher self and heal from there, acknowledging that we are spirit, mind, and body. So I thought to myself, oh, where to begin? Should I just tell my life story, how it has been since I was born? Or should I tell you about my inner child wounds? Or how should I get this teaching started? Because I really want to inspire you to heal yourself. I'm not saying I did everything right, and I'm not saying I did anything wrong. I did what I did, and it has carried me till this point of life, and that was right for me. But it is not necessarily right for you. So my point is, I hope in this series that when I share my story with you, that you will actually hope that you'll be triggered big time, that you will get so angry with me or so frustrated, or whatever low vibrational feelings that you will have come up. Because then I actually know that I'm on the right track as a healer. Because what is a healer? Is a healer somebody that lays hands on you and give you their energy for a while, and then a week later, a month later, something like that, you have to come back because you need their energy? No, it's not. A healer is something that a healer is somebody that actually triggers you into you healing yourself. And I have been blessed with so many people that have triggered me big time. And I'm really grateful for it now. I wasn't at the time when I went through whatever I went through. I'll get to that. But today, I'm truly grateful. I'm truly grateful and at peace with it all, because I understand the big picture, and I know that we are connected. Not just one is dark, one is light, one is good, one is bad. No. We are everything. We are it all. So I really hope that you do get triggered by this story that I'm going to share with you in the couple. I don't know how many recordings I'll make. I didn't make a plan because that didn't feel right either. But I know that starting Sunday, September 1st, 2024, Pluto's re-enters Capricorn for a little while. So we can kind of get a new beginning on what is to come from the next 20 years or so, when Pluto is in Aquarius from, I think it's mid-October or something like that. October 12 maybe, or is it November? I can't recall. Later this year. And it was actually a period or a season that started back in 2007, 2008, when Pluto first entered Capricorn. And we had something that we finished at that time, and now it's like we are finishing this 20-year cycle. No, it's not 20 years, I'm sorry, but it's close to 17, 18 years. We're closing that out. And it's like we are getting another chance to say no or yes and really mean it. That making sure of when we say no, it's a firm no and we stand on it. Or when we say yes, it's a firm yes and we stand on that. Not just, well, let's cooperate and let's see if we can compromise in some way to balance things out. What about the balance within, first and foremost? Because everything starts with the self, right? And for me, in 2007, 2008, the first thing that comes to mind I was doing is I was actually in fertility treatment with ICSI and IVF and whatever technologies that they used for us to have our wonderful boy. But I recall that I really felt my body at that time, and all this treatment was really hard. All the hormones that my body needed to digest, that was not natural at all. And my emotions got really under a bad influence of that, and I couldn't cope. My emotions couldn't cope. I didn't have the proper training to cope with those feelings, actually. And I was like, well, you know what? I know that it's not my body that is actually sick. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm, at that time, what was I? 34, 35. It was not unusual. It was not that old to have a child. It was not impossible in any way. And there was nothing physically wrong with me. So I thought, is this really worth it? And what do I want? What is my life calling? I knew that there was a soul out there calling for me, waiting to come through my body into this earth. I knew it, and I knew it was a boy. And I had known that for the past 7 years, since 2000. So I was like, getting a bit impatient, I would say, after 7 years of desert island. So I was like, I was looking at my husband at the time, and I was really reflecting. Is it because the universe is trying to tell me that I'm with the wrong man for this? But I really loved being with him. I really loved our conversations and our daily lives, and I really loved him. But the thing is, I realized I loved me more. And I had fundamental trust in my visions and body knowledge of this soul asking to come through me. So I was like reflecting on that. How can I do that? Do I really want to be on my own if that is really the case? I don't really want to be without my husband. I want my marriage life. I want to be with him. How can that work? And still allowing this beautiful soul to come through my body. So I started researching and investigating and whatever it took, and the idea crossed my mind, why don't we get a donor? Why don't we get a little help from the outside? And I know that this world of science, the medical world, wasn't ready to give up on me, and you know, that's when I first really realized that, you know, who is funding the whole thing? And even though I was living in Denmark at the time, and some of the treatments were paid by the government, if this should work, I really had to pay a lot of money, like 3,000-4,000 euros every time we had a new treatment or a new round the clock. And the worst of it all was I could feel that my body couldn't cope. My body was screaming at me, don't do this. I was getting, well, I don't think you really want to know, but I had nosebleed like every other day. I had, well, yeah, a lot of physical reactions to all the treatments, and I just decided, stop, no more. It has taken a toll on me and my body and my physical well-being. It's taken a toll on my marriage and our relation. No more. That's it. No more. So I personally decided on using a donor. But of course, when you are in a relationship and it has an effect on your partner, you just don't go out finding a donor on your own and saying, well, now I'm pregnant. So I had a conversation with my husband, and I was actually kind of harsh, saying, you know what, I can't do this anymore. And I know that this child is expecting to come through my body. And I want to do this. And I want to use a donor. And I think that is the best solution for me. And I think that you should take your time, reflect on this yourself, and decide for you what you want to do, if you want to be part of this or not. And so we carried on our lives for, I don't know, 2 weeks or something, and then my husband came to me and said, well, okay, let's do it. I'll support you on this. I'll stick around for this. But that, of course, was not the easy road either, because mentally I had a feeling of failure and keep repeating that limited my body to actually carry a child in the first go. So I don't know, 6 months later or something like that, he finally came through. And I remember exactly where I was. I remember driving my car, having been to a fertility clinic, and I remember, yeah, now he's here. Now he is a reality. And I remember it was the January 14th, 2009, at one of the biggest lakes in Denmark, driving past it, and driving in the middle of passing it. That was it. I knew then he was on his way. And of course there is a transformation time for a soul to get into this world. So 9 months later, in October, he finally arrived. Beautifully, perfectly, little boy, with a lot of fighting will and life spark and calmness. And I just knew that. That was it. Now he's here. Now it was like, mission accomplished. Like, because I knew he was going through my body, or coming through my body, and it was magic. Like, I think most mothers that have gone through childbirth would say it's magical. And giving birth to him was actually peaceful. And yes, I was frightened, like I don't know what, but I knew that many, many women, millions of women, have gone before me on this journey, giving childbirth. So I knew, so could I, because my body was built for it. And he just came out into this world without any pain for me, not without anxiety, but without any physical pain, because I allowed myself to go upstairs, as I tend to call it, through my higher self, to my spiritual place, and vision that I was in this lake of peaceful harmony, and where all the pains were taken off my body. And every time it started to hurt just a little bit, but actually it didn't, I just mentally went there. And it was really, really nice not to have my body filled with all those stress hormones, helping him transform into this world. Yeah. So now, reflecting here till 2024, I'm reflecting what cycle is actually ending and what is opening up. And what I think, what I envision ending is me being even more firm in saying yes and no to what is right for me. Endings of playing small and compromising. And hurting myself in the process. And opening up to new. And actually I recently started this YouTube channel, and for me it's also like giving birth to a child, but emotionally a lot more frightening and triggering than actually giving birth to my son. I always known that I had healing hands. I always felt it. But I was brought up in a way that what you couldn't see is not real. What you can't feel, what you can't hear, what you can't measure, you can't trust. So when I started my channeling, or being conscious of the channeling, it was like, no, it's not important. No, it's just, your mind playing tricks on you, or whatever excuse I was giving myself to cope with it. But eventually, what you won't feel or acknowledge catches up with you, doesn't it? And in 2016, 18, 19, I had a really big wake-up call. And I thought that was actually what I was starting to talk to you about, but I guess that'll be another video I'll be making for that. However, in 2018 or 19, I think 19, I was at I don't know what she called herself, a clairvoyant or healer or spiritual coach or all in the mix, I don't know. But she was helping me stand my ground in my visions. And in one of these visions, a animal totem came to me, and for all my knowledge that I accumulated since then, it makes really good sense that of course there come an animal totem, as there has been previously, but I didn't take that as seriously when the bear came to me, because that was actually something I could see happening in the real world. This was more of a inner journey, and it had a much greater impact on me, because I thought it to be real, because that was the visions that I had up till this point had been really manifesting in the physical world, and I just knew that this was somehow different, but I didn't understand how, and I'm not sure that I understand it today. But the totem animal that came to me was actually the puma, the cougar, the yellow jaguar. And well, I don't believe in coincidences, but when I was playing around with my cards today, and I draw one of my beautiful, beautiful spirit of the animal card, guess who came out? The cougar. And she is exactly as I saw her in my vision. The only difference, though, is that the nose that I saw, the nose that I saw in my vision had a slightly more rose-colored tone to it. And I can't read what the card says without my glasses. The card says, in silence you find power. Claim your leadership role and take action. You know where to go and what to do. You have the courage and confidence to succeed. And in this vision, I also saw me not in the driver's seat at a car, but actually in the back seat of the car. Not that I was not the one calling the shots, because I was, but I didn't have to do the physical work all by myself. I could just lean into me and vibe it out. Like my vibration would just make things happen. And I didn't understand that at the time, while I was in the driver's seat. I just knew that I was calling the shots, and I actually had great help from other people calling the shots and making them into reality. I knew that, but I didn't know how, and I didn't focus on that. But it's nice today to really see how it all comes together, and that whatever I'm vibrating, I don't have to do much, if anything, and it just appears. Almost like magic, but it's really not. Yeah. For me, my visions have helped me many times healing my inner wounds. It's not that I connect to my clear sight every day or every week even, because I really acknowledge that sometimes here on this earth, healing takes time. You can't force it. And what's in spiritual time may be just a blink of an eye, could here on this earth be weeks, months, years even. I know that to be whole, to be a unit in my own right, I need to tend to both body, mind and spirit, and all in its good time, and not everything at once necessarily. So today, I'm just talking about how I use my spirituality and my connection to my higher self, and connecting to my higher self as one of my healing tools. One of my best weapons against sadness, depression, anger, guilt, shame, abandonment, rejection, whatever it is I'm dealing with. That is what keeps me going, because I have this profound knowledge of where I'm going and where I am at. And I can juggle things around and finding things out. Is that possible? Is this possible? Should I go there? Should I not go there? And then connect to my physical world, to my physical body, and asking, does that feel good? Does that feel right? Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. And since 2019, in December, when my mother passed away, till the next life, a lot of things happened in my life. I'll share with you in another video. But that higher calling, or that vision, became really important to me. And I had a lot of people around me no, not really a lot, but the ones I had really triggered my wounds big time. It was really hurtful, and there was a time I thought, well, you know what? If I'm not supposed to be here, then just take me out of here. Just take me out, because this is no life. This is a walking zombie, and I deserve something more. I deserve better, but I couldn't find my way out. Couldn't see. It was like I was blind. And I had blinded myself. I wouldn't allow myself to see a way out, because that would mean if I should find a way out, I would have to feel all those feelings of hurt, and it didn't feel safe. I was not safe. My physical body didn't feel safe, which is actually the most important thing, that you are physically safe first, and you are surrounded by people that your body can relax and feel safe around. And next, when you feel safe in your body, is it safe to feel your feelings? Is it safe to look inside the box and see what's there and allow yourself to feel it? And I wasn't in a place at that time where I felt safe. And also the corona time didn't exactly do anything good about feeling safe and feeling secure, because everybody around me was so scared of being alive. Breathe. Listening to all this crap in the television or in the radio. And I just shut down and just made myself a cocoon in my body. But I also numbed myself out, not feeling anything from the inside, only in bits and pieces when I was alone by the sea. I lived at the sea by that time, and that really helped me a great deal. And I could go for walks in the forest with the dogs, and I think actually that was a lifesaver. But when I came out of all this turmoil, when I decided to move out of that turmoil, take responsibility for my own safety, for my own feelings of safe haven, I used again my visions and my spirituality to connect. I went to the Acacia archives, and I burned down all the contracts, all the stuff that was in my personal archive, burned all the contracts, asking that if there was anything that was from true love, from unconditional awareness of love, then let the contract still exist. Let them be saved, but everything else, let them burn down to the ground. So it burned. And for many months, when I visited the Acacia archives, I came to this burning room in the library. And I was just looking at all the soot and all the deconstruction of my life, actually. And this is in visions, you understand? It's not just how I looked at my physical life that was in total ruin. No, it was using my spirituality at this point. So many months later, I found the courage to visit my Acacia archives one more time and asked for my guide to appear. And he appeared, like always, faithfully, loving, caring, and gentle, really gentle. And we stood there looking at this room where everything was burnt, everything was gone. And he asked me, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "I don't know. Because I don't know what I can do, because I burned all this down. I really want to connect to people or to beings, to existence here on this earth. But I want to do it from love, and I want to be met at the same frequency." Yeah, what you get, or what you ask for, you really get. So in my physical life, that meant, well, I had started my business and I had, of course, clients coming in, but for me personally, there was no really nurturing contact. It was me giving, like always, giving. I had a few friends that I talked to, and if they're listening, they know really who they are and what they meant to me going through that, and what they still mean to me today, and how grateful I am for them being in my life. The entities that they are from love. And back to my Acacia archives with my guide, and he said, "Well, okay, you might not see it, but look really close, because there's a stair in your room." And I couldn't see it. That was really true. And I could imagine there was a stairwell, but I couldn't see it. And he just showed me, pointed at it. He said, "Go up there." And I just started walking upwards in trust that there were stairs, that there were stairs to stand on. Even though this is spiritual, it was, it's hard to explain otherwise, but I really trusted that there were stairs to walk on. So I started elevating on the stairwell, and it was like I came up and saw an ocean of water, just water, and a little boat on a little boardwalk, a little bridge, or what it's called, in the water. And he said, "What do you want to do? Do you want to stay here? There's nothing left for you here because you burned it all down. There's nothing left. There's no more people or connections or things to do. What do you want to do?" And I said, "I go on the boat." And I went to the boat. And I sat in the boat. And my guide helped me to untie the rope, gave it a big push. The ocean was so quiet. There was no movement there. But even though the current took me out in the middle of the ocean, and that is actually why my channel is called A Little Boat on the Ocean. Because there I was for many more months, I think a year or a year and a half maybe, just floating around in this boat. I could, in the beginning, still see the outline of the people that I left behind and the stuff that I left behind. And as the time went by, I could starting to see there was sun on my way forward. But I didn't have any oars and I didn't have any sail. I couldn't move unless I did something myself. And that is tiresome when you have to go such a distance. And I couldn't even see the shoreline. I could just see light ahead of me. So I was not sure when I was going to bump into some solid ground. But then another funny thing happened, because as I went closer and closer to the light in the horizon, the water in the ocean started to dry out. So then I couldn't move anymore because the boat was sitting at the bank, and I was like, should I get out? Is that safe? Is it safe to go outside the boat? Because I could see all these lines on the bottom of the ocean, and it didn't feel safe. And I knew I needed to take the boat with me. I don't know why, and I haven't figured that out yet, what I should use the boat for. But I knew I had to take it with me. But now I could start to see people and solid ground on the other side where the sun was shining. But still, I stayed in the boat. And then, little by little, it was like, when you're filling up a tub to take a bath, the water came back in the ocean, and I could move myself to the safe shore of light. And at that point I knew what they meant by the water. I had to dry out all the anger and resentment and fear and shame and guilt and sadness. I had to dry it out. I had to really feel it and then let it dry out. And then, when I had done that, I could allow the beautiful feelings of love and light and laughter and joy and peace and happiness and calmness to emerge from the ground. Yeah. That was the spiritual side of my healing story. I don't know what the next chapter will be. Maybe I'll tell you about the physical side of it. Maybe I'll tell you about the mental side of it. We'll see. But until next time, please take care of yourself.